Hi, welcome to the next in a series of online tutorials about the local BMD project websites. I'm Ian Hartas. I'm author of the search software used in the various local BMD websites and also author of the UKBMD website itself. If you'd like to join me at my keyboard, we'll have a look at the next in the series. In this tutorial we'll be looking at the UKBMD website itself. So far we've been looking in the various tutorials previous to this one at the local BMD and the GRO BMD pages. The original version of UKBMD simply did point at the various local BMD websites. Then we added links to the various GRO based BMD websites such as Ancestry, Find My Past, The Genealogist, 192 and etc. and Free BMD. And then we realised there are an awful lot of privately run websites out there as well as the big commercial players, all with good data online, all with the aim of helping you build your family tree. Good genealogical data, too good to waste. So we expanded UKBMD, so now at the time of the production of this tutorial, UKBMD itself points at 2,530 links to various websites out there. Now we've looked at the local BMD, looked briefly at the GRO BMD, but every time we've found a website we've also classified it by what sort of data it contains and which counties it's applicable to. So for example, if you wanted to look for Cheshire data, click Cheshire and then click on the county button. We have links at the top to the Cheshire BMD and the multi-region search within UKBMD, but as we scroll down you'll see, after we get past all the big players like Ancestry and so on, there are lots of other websites with all types of data, all classified by type, with a title and a description and, if appropriate, extra information. So this one here says extra information mainly around Lancashire, but there must be some Cheshire data in there, otherwise we wouldn't have classified it under Cheshire. All listed alphabetically by title. So you can see from the size of the scroll bar at the side here, if I go down quickly, we have found lots of websites over the years. Websites come and go, so we're constantly updating this to take away all the dead links and add in new ones as we find them. You can see from some of these titles here that many of these websites are one name studies where somebody has done some work on their family tree, and this one name study must have information about Cheshire on there, and the list just keeps going. It is quite a large list, so we do have a filter at the top if you want to reduce that. So for example, if you are interested in baptisms or bishops' transcripts or census information or just plain simple parish records, you could click parish records and then apply filter, and it reduces the list down to a more manageable size. And if we've done our job correctly, each of these will have parish record data of some sort online for Cheshire. Right, let's go back to the top and have a look at the other buttons. As well as finding parish record data and births, marriages and death BMD data, we've found lots of websites which have census information online. If you clicked on that button you'd get a really long page, so what I would recommend is that if you're interested in a specific county, go to the county page first and then click census as the filter. And as we can see here, now we've got Cheshire classification census, big players at the top as before, but then lots of privately run websites below. And if we've done our job correctly, as we've said, these should all have census information of some form or another and all related to the Cheshire area. Come back to the top again. Following on from census information, parish registers. Again, that's a really long list, so as we saw earlier, we could select parish registers from this drop-down list here and produce a slightly smaller list. Following on from parish registers, one name studies. There are lots of one name studies out there. The main players in the one name study arena are the Guild of One Name Studies and the Surname Society, so there's links to their respective projects at the top, but not everybody's member of those two societies, so we have dug down through Google search results and dug out all the information that we can and provided links to the various one name study websites that were found on this page, again all alphabetically listed. If you want to jump down to ones beginning with a particular letter, you can do, starting with H and so on. Quick jump back to the top. Some areas of the country have good coverage for local BMDs, particularly the northwest of the country. Other areas like the southwest at the moment, at the time of recording this tutorial, are not particularly well covered for birth, marriages and deaths, but they do have good online parish clerks. So OPC, Online Parish Clerk. These are websites quite often run by family history societies. So as I mentioned, down in the south at Cornwall, Devon, Dorset, a growing number of areas are putting online parish clerks which have a lot of parish data published. Lancashire is one particularly exceptionally good website. I recommend, if you've got any Lancashire ancestors, have a look at the Lancashire OPC. Let's have a quick look in a different tab. So, regularly updated, what's new, parishes, registers, all done on a voluntary basis. Well worth a look for Lancashire data. Back to UKBMD. Following on from one online parish clerks, we have one place studies. Quite a few areas are getting together and putting together a website for their own village or town and publishing family history data. Where we've found such a website, one place study, we have links to them. DNA is a growing area. There are people who have set up their own website publishing their DNA results, and there are companies willing to take your DNA for you. So there's two types of lists on here, project DNAs and people doing the testing for you. British abroad is another category. Lots of people consider themselves to be British even though they lived abroad, and quite often you can find a sudden gap in your family history where people just disappear. Maybe they went abroad for a while. Families in British India Society is one of the really good websites publishing data about people who went abroad. A huge number of people from Britain disappeared over to India for a while to help with the development of the country, railroads and other sorts of engineering, etc. Have a look abroad if you can't find where your ancestors disappeared to. And a few other buttons which I hope should be self-explanatory. Register is the last one I want to touch on here. In the introduction to these tutorials, I mentioned the updates page on the various local BMD websites where we publish the information that's just been added. You're welcome at your leisure to go to these individual websites and have a look what's going on online, but if you register with this mailing list here, all you need is your email address. Every time we add data to the various local BMD project websites, we'll kick out an email saying what's been added, so you don't have to come back regularly to look at these websites. We'll send you the details directly. Back to the home page. I mentioned that UKBMD was set up to help you build your family tree, the raw genealogical data, the births, marriage and death and census information. Once you built your family tree and got all the dates and names added to it, the next thing to do is possibly look at the family history side of things. Genealogy and family history tend to go in hand, and while we were looking around finding all these websites to provide links on the UKBMD websites, we also found lots of websites which didn't quite fit into any of the categories that we have for births, marriages and death and census and parish registers, etc. So we set up a further website, UKGDL. There's a link here to it. Looking very similar to UKBMD. At the time of production we've got 1,971 links on this website for a whole range of categories: directories, gazetteers, maps, post office directories, taxes, tithes, electoral rolls and so on. Quite a big selection. So if you could pick one of these, say emigration, click category, and if we've done our job correctly, every one of these links to websites should come back and give you some sort of emigration or migration information. Also, as per UKBMD, we've classified data by county, so again you could click a particular county, click on the county button, and here's a list all the websites that we know of which have mentioned Cheshire somewhere within their data. Up to the top. As with UKBMD, we have a British Abroad category and a various other sets of buttons. One that I haven't mentioned so far is the occupations button. Growing number of websites out there mention specifically occupations. It might mention that a person was in a particular occupation, or it might have details about that occupation. And we have a great long list here. As you can see, it's quite large. So if you wanted to refine the list, you could type in a particular occupation, refine the list, and it's come back and says, oh, we've got information about apprentice dyers and leather dyers. And if you click one or more of those, then search, then we have a long list of websites which should have, if we've done our job correctly again, information about people who consider their occupation to be a dyer. Back to the home page. Again, from UKGDL we have links to UKBMD and the third one in the series, UKMFH. So UKMFH, third in the series, looking very similar to the other two. Again with the same idea of categorizing the data that we've found by type: Navy, Army, Marines, World War I, World War II and so on, and also by county. There are links to various other things, again, British Abroad, military museums. But the topic of military family history is so large that I possibly recommend that you'd make use of the keyword function. In this list here there are several thousand, 8,000 or 9,000 different entries covering regiments, squadrons, battalions, battles and so on. So if you do have a particular interest that you're looking for, you can type it in, say for a dragoon, find the keyword, and here's a reduced list So if you're interested in third degree wounds, you can click those three, search, and once more, this list ought to contain links to websites which have got references, maybe small, maybe large, to information about the third degree wounds. So that covers an overview of basic functions of the three websites, UKBMD, UKGDL and UKMFH. Let's have a look in a bit more detail about some of the information that you can find on UKBMD. Specifically, parish registers. The local BMDs, as we've mentioned in the other tutorials, will take you back to 1837 in England and Wales. Prior to that time, you're in the realms of parish registers. And on the parish registers page, this is quite a large page again. You can see from the size of the scroll bar on the right here that we've got a lot of information. So I'm just going to use the usual Control F and search within the page for an entry that I know is going to give us good information. And here we have the parish registers of Berwick-upon-Tweed. If I open that in a new tab, and here we have the book as scanned. I go to full size. Here we go. Publications of the Durham and Northumberland Parish Register Society. The registers of Berwick-upon-Tweed, County of Northumberland. And straight in, marriages for a variety of years, and you can continue turning the pages. And if you were interested, you could either type in a name and use the search function, or skip to the end of the volume and look at the actual index of the book itself. More and more of these are coming online all the time, so it's well worth calling back at the UKBMD website to see what's been added recently. So, this is a summary that this was just a quick tour around UKBMD and UKGDL and UKMFH. If you return to the web page where you found a link to this tutorial, you'll find links to other tutorials covering the subjects of births, marriages and deaths and other features. See you in the next tutorial.